lesson. We have 2 trades to go over. We are going to be discussing Qs, traded Qs twice, and really interesting action. And today's lesson is really specific to today's action. So it's going to be a good one that you wouldn't necessarily hear a lot. So let's dive into the charts and let's get right into it. One sec here, folks. Okay, so now that we are in the charts, actually, we could go over to this because we're mainly, no, actually, sorry about that. We do need that chart. So we're going to look at both SPY and Qs. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on the morning action just so then we get a better idea of what's going on here on the charts. So first off, we gap up over trend on SPY, main trend. You can see the main trend here. So we are gapped up over that. It's not a strong gap up. So in these situations, what I would prefer to see is either a really strong gap up into like a whole number, because you got to remember up top here, there's no resistance. It's clear blue sky, right? And that's what a lot of people kind of forget about when they are shorting stocks just because they're up. There's a reason why it didn't necessarily fully break down. We'll get into that, but that's what I want to see in this situation. Either a gap down, a clear gap down with about a point or so of distance into the previous close, or a gap up of like 2.5 points, maybe even more, would be perfect. Qs, same thing, gapped up above support, but we're mainly watching SPY. So SPY was actually the main watch for this morning because we had a very clear level, and I zoom in on the daily chart here. You can see the previous close as well as this trend. And that trend intersection is right at the previous close. So we have really solid support and a really nice range to work with. Now, once the market opened up, Qs actually set up for us perfectly. So we ended up trading Qs, and the Qs long here, now that you can see the full chart, I will zoom in so then we can take a look at the entries. One sec here, folks. Let me get zoomed right in. Okay, so what we have on the entries, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more because they are pretty tasty entries. So what we have is, and I got to zoom in on the 1 minute chart so then you guys can see it. Market opens up, it dips into the previous close. There is support. Now I'm going to tell you, was I expecting this to hold that support? No. So then why would I take that trade? Well, when you trade strategy, and this is what a lot of people miss when they're trading, is they start trading with their gut, or it's like, oh, I thought it was going to do this, or I thought it was going to do that. And well, if you do that and you say that to yourself, you're very inexperienced as a trader. Don't be trading your fucking gut. I see way too many people talking about that shit. Throw it out the window where it belongs. You need to trade strategy, 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 strategy. Above support, go long into support. Below resistance, go short into resistance. Keep it simple, guys. This shit doesn't need to be rocket science, right? So with that said, it comes down into support. I enter. As soon as it pops back up and this candle retraces, it doesn't look like much, but P&L wise, it was actually pretty nice. It comes back down. I add. Okay, so you can see an add there. It's not a big add. And then once it starts to confirm, you see how it barely ticked below that level and it gets sucked up. Now, it's hard to see because this is obviously a dead chart and the market's closed and these candles are in the past. It's not in the present. So you can't see exactly what I was looking at, but it was beautiful. So hammered size there, lots of size in this trade. So the secondary entry, I paid myself. That third entry, once I saw what I was looking for, it's like, oh, okay, this is going to hold and it's going to squeeze up. That's exactly what it did. It's a beautiful trade, locked in a really nice portion and pretty substantial P&L on this. Now, when it came back down, what I was looking for, again, these ads here, they're not big ads, okay? What I wanted to see was actually a slice through this level. We got it. Okay, but that comes after. We don't know that's going to happen. So if you look at it like, oh, well, why did you go long there? It broke. Stop. Time out. Think of the words that you just said out loud. Okay. What you just said is so completely hindsight and irrelevant, and it just reeks of lack of experience that you need to stop thinking like that. I see a lot of people do that shit where it's like, oh, why'd you do that? It broke. It's like, are you retarded? How would you know it broke before it broke? Right? Like this is all very simple stuff. So you take it long back into that level looking for confirmation. Now, I'm not going to risk all my profits. I locked in a nice trade on that, but I will add into it. That's fine. SPY is also at that time, it's pulling back into a pre-market range. It's safe. Okay. There's a lot of support there when you're trading both markets at the same time. So it breaks. I stop out. That's fine because now I've got my slice through on this. Okay. I got that slice through. So once it slices through that and it pops back up, I'm going to go short. Now to the second trade. Now it's very high up. The premium didn't melt down very much. You can see that this right here, oops, sorry about that. Right in this area, that slice through is right here because remember, I'm using puts. So it slices through, and then once it's in this area and it comes back up and kind of pisses around right at that previous close, I start averaging in. Now, it looks like I'm using like a lot of size at the beginning. No, I went over this last trade recap from Friday. It's about kind of tapering in, getting a feeling for the chart. There might be a lot of entries, but it's not necessarily a lot of size. The size comes later, okay? So on this here, did it go higher than expected? Yes, it did. And you're going to see I'm continuing on with the trade. Now, remember, I don't trade premium. I don't actually trade options. I execute via options, but I trade the stock chart, okay? So I know that that can be a little confusing for some people, but that's what it is. Now I want to show you guys something. Okay, let's take a look at SPY's action here. So SPY gaps up, and this is all tying in. This is the important part of this video, guys. So from where we opened up and lows to highs, that is 92 cents. If you take a look at SPY's chart right here, this is a very basic bitch type of day. Very normal, average type of action. It dips, it pops, it pulls back, comes up, tries breaking out. It couldn't. It sells off a little bit, but it looks normal. Right? There's nothing wild about SPY's chart at all. Now, let's zoom in on Q's a little bit more. You see how wild this looks? Okay, now I've talked about this a lot before. The stock market is designed a certain way. Green, good, red, bad. Big candles, scary. Little candles, I'm okay. Okay? It's that type of like very basic type of mentality and thought. That's all they're trying to do on Q's. If you take a look at this, and there's probably going to be somebody that makes a comment, just like the last video, where it's like, oh, you fought the trade. On what planet do you think 80 cents worth of risk is fighting a trade on a $500 and $550 stock? You understand? You're out to lunch. You have to give it some sort of risk, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think less than 1 point worth of risk is anything on a $500 stock or ETF, you're crazy. What you're doing is you're subscribing to the Timmy Sykes method of cut losses quickly instead of actually having a risk strategy. So when you snap your crosshairs, let's take a look from this level. So from my entry all the way up to highs, it is only 90 cents. You are well within risk parameters. Okay, my entry was actually a little bit higher. It's probably somewhere right in this area. So if you take a look, I've got 83 cents. 83 cents worth of risk, guys, to maximum. That's nothing. So when you look at entries like this and it's like, oh, you fought it, you don't know what you're talking about. You're very new and you should probably zip that shit and really just listen. Because if you're here to learn, you can learn how to actually do this, right? Now, I know I sound like I'm being an asshole right now. I get it. I understand how it comes off. But that is just the fact of the matter. There's no risk on this. There's also a little telltale sign, and I want to show you something right here. I want to turn your attention to SPY right here. See where it came right back up into highs? It pulls back. it holds, pushes, and it breaks. See how it broke that level? So it breaks that level. That looks real scary, right? Like it's going to squeeze and go crazy, which is right in here. What did it do? It immediately sold off, no confirmation. That tells me, as soon as I saw that right there, see that last entry? I hammer that. I throw the fucking kitchen sink at that shit. Because I know this thing is about to sell off. It is done. It is tapped out. We're going to pull back and we're going to come back to a lower support level. Okay. This is years of experience doing this consistently, professionally. Okay. And that's always the difference. And this is why when you are learning to trade, and I see a lot of people make this mistake. Somebody actually just commented on one of my posts not that long ago looking for, he's looking to learn from people, but from people that ain't selling shit. What you don't understand, or what people like that don't understand, is when you actually, and you're like a legitimate, like a real professional trader, and you do this for a living, and you've made millions and millions of dollars in your career, you bled and you sweated and you cried in order to get to where you are. This isn't an easy task, right? Especially when you have and you've developed your own strategy and methodology to the market. It's not something that you just give away. And if you are giving it away, every last little detail, and I give a lot of what I do away for free, but I'm talking about the ones that have, free services and stuff like that. You have to really ask yourself the question, now, why would they do that? People don't respect free. And what you're doing is you're setting yourself behind. So because of your ignorance and arrogance about, not wanting to, I don't want to learn from someone that ain't selling shit, right? I see that, and it's a shame that people have that mentality, because this is it's a long fucking road. I know, because I lived it, and there's a lot of struggles and everything else that go along with this, and came this close to losing everything. And to make it out the other side, and to be someone that, I mean, you can go ahead, you can take it, the way I live on a day-to-day basis. It's a life that, 0.1% of people on the planet get to enjoy, freedom-wise, right? And financially as well. I'm not saying that to be a jerk off or an asshole. What I'm saying is, learn from people that actually know what they're doing. And if they charge you for it, it's an investment. That's kind of the way to look at it. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to plead with people to think differently and think correctly. Because nobody worth their salt will give away every little piece of information that they know for free. They won't do it, because it's such a struggle to get there. And there's years and years and years of information, and nobody would give that away for free. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So if you are thinking like that, you really need to correct that. And, to backtrack a little bit before I wrap this one up, I know this is a little bit long-winded, but I just think it's so important to, put people's brains correct. When you're looking at charts and you're listening to a trade recap, before you start typing away and everything else, and you jump to really newbie type of conclusions about the trade, what you should try and do is understand first what that person that clearly knows what the fuck they're doing, why they're doing it. You understand what I'm getting at? Like, there's a real opportunity and to learn from people out there. They're few and far between. I know it looks like everybody crushes it on Twitter and everything else, but then what I would say to you is, go take a look at how they live. Is everything they own rented, right? Are they just trying to, flex for the masses? Because if that's the case, then they ain't got shit, man, right? And that tells me that person obviously isn't successful. So all I'm asking people to do is take a look at this shit from the right light, and learn. Like, don't set yourself behind for trying to save yourself $1. Don't do that. it's a bad decision, and you're going to regret it, and it's really going to set you back. And I think if the people that are watching this actually have a half a brain, even half a brain, which isn't a lot to ask, they can understand and they can see that this world and the way it's going right now, freedom should be your only objective. And by freedom, I mean not living under someone else's thumb, working some 9 to 5, renting, all of that shit. You need to be free right now, because when the hammer drops at some point, I think we all know what's coming. You're going to wish that you didn't try and save yourself $100 here or $100 there. You're going to really wish at that time, I guarantee you guys, I guarantee you, you're going to wish that you just would have stopped at nothing to learn how to do this and to gather as much wealth as possible while you could to set you and your family up. So I know this recap kind of took a little bit of a turn, but it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, where I see people making bad decisions, and the decisions that they're making not only affect them, it affects their family's future, for a future that is highly uncertain. And you're going to wish that you didn't take that cheap way or easy way. You're going to wish that you went all in on it and stopped at nothing to get it. I promise you that. So if you want to learn how to do this, and you want to learn from someone that really wants to see you fucking pull through and join a service, a premium service that has everything included, everything. The risk strategy, the entry strategy, a full sizing strategy, so then you don't size up too quick and blow up your fucking account. Plus video lessons, nightly scans. Fuck, I mean, man, you name it. We even have a support group for spouses. We have a budgeting group for people that really need to learn how to budget. There's no stone left unturned with what we have built. So if you want that, come to tricktrades.com, and we'll catch you tomorrow, guys. Adios.